It was just another day inside MDC Brooklyn. The same humming fluorescent lights, the same clattering of lunch trays, the guards moving with mechanical precision. And in the middle of it all, Sean Diddy Combs sat quietly in his unit, focused, patient, almost as if he was waiting for something. For weeks, nothing had shifted in his case. No new motions, no statements to the press, no shocking headlines. The media circus had gone silent. Diddy was just another high-profile inmate, biding his time until sentencing day, October 3rd, a date that loomed over him like a ticking time bomb. But then, something shifted. It started as nothing more than a whisper, a low, casual exchange between two correctional officers near the medical wing. "You hear about the August file?" one asked. The other gave a quick nod, lowering his voice. "He's not gonna make it to October. They're moving him out." An inmate nearby overheard the conversation. Nobody important, just someone standing in the right place at the right time. And like dry brush catching fire, that overheard sentence spread across the prison almost instantly. Diddy's getting out early. The guards didn't confirm it, but they didn't deny it either. From that moment, the air inside MDC felt different. The staff seemed colder, more procedural. Detached, one guard reportedly told another inmate straight up, "He won't be here long, man. Just let it play out." And that was the first sign. The first crack in the wall that hinted at something bigger, something hidden, moving beneath the surface. But before I take you deeper into this story, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, so you never miss an update when stories like this break wide open. Now, let's get back into it. Outside the prison walls, the rumors leaked online in trickles. A niche blog post here, a blind item on a gossip forum there. One Redditor claimed their cousin, working inside the Bureau of Prisons, said Diddy was cutting a deal, that he was part of a rare pre-sentencing adjustment. Most people laughed. Another wild internet hoax, right? But then, things got stranger. Inside MDC, Diddy's behavior began to change. Fast. Sources said he started signing up for every program available. Not just showing up, actively engaging. He joined the STOP program, completed anger management, sat in on group therapy, even requested private sessions with the prison clergy. And the detail that really got people talking? He rejected all special privileges. No requests, no complaints, no outbursts, just quiet compliance. One inmate described it best. He was acting like a man with a ticket booked, not rushing, just ready. It didn't feel like a man bracing for sentencing. It felt like a man preparing for release. And with every passing day, the whispers only grew louder. What kind of deal could get someone like Diddy out early? What would he have to offer? And more importantly, what did the system stand to gain in return? They say when someone knows change is coming, you can read it in their body language. And inside MDC Brooklyn, everyone saw it in Diddy. He wasn't moving like a man about to spend years behind bars. He wasn't bitter or angry or broken. No, Sean Combs was walking like someone pacing the runway before takeoff, calm, composed, intentional. He even started showing up in places no one expected. Substance abuse groups, financial reentry workshops, peer-to-peer mentoring. A correctional officer reportedly told a colleague, "It's like he's checking boxes, not for the lessons, just for the paperwork." And that's when it got interesting. His spotless behavior wasn't just being noticed, it was being logged. Inmate reports that usually went untouched for weeks were suddenly being filled out daily. Words like cooperative, respectful, engaged kept appearing in black ink. The kind of language that doesn't sit in a file, it moves up the chain. But it wasn't just his schedule that changed. His tone did too. The frustration was gone. The edge, gone. In its place, patience, precision, a measured calm. Some said it looked like surrender. Others swore it was a calculated chess move. In one counseling session, he allegedly told a staffer, "I've got more to fix out there than I ever did in here." A line that stuck with everyone who heard it. Meanwhile, outside those walls, a stranger pattern was unfolding. Journalists who once chased every angle of the story suddenly went quiet. Diddy's name stopped trending. Headlines that once screamed about his downfall began quietly disappearing, corrected, retracted, or deleted altogether. What happened? Word trickled in. A PR cleanup crew had been hired behind the scenes. Negative YouTube videos flagged. Gossip blogs hit with takedown notices. Independent creators pressured, or allegedly paid, to shift their coverage. And at the same time, Diddy's legal team began filing seal motions. No press conferences. No statements. Just cold, quiet paperwork sliding across desks behind closed doors. And then came the letter. A leaked communication, allegedly written by Diddy's attorneys, addressed directly to the Bureau of Prisons. In it, they argued that he had completed all qualifying rehabilitation programs and formally requested placement under community reassessment consideration. That's bureaucratic code for one thing only: we want him out early. The question now wasn't if Diddy was working to leave before October. The question was how soon. It wasn't just about how close he was. It was about whether the public had any clue what was about to unfold. It began with a photo. One single, blurry image that surfaced online late at night from an anonymous account with no followers, no profile picture, no bio. The shot looked ordinary at first, a piece of paper resting on a cluttered desk. But this wasn't just any desk. In the corner, half cropped out, was the unmistakable seal of the Department of Justice. And one line on that page, left fully visible, lit the internet on fire. Pre-sentencing adjustment. Subject eligible for early community release upon compliance of outlined conditions. The internet went wild. No, the document didn't name Diddy directly, but the key words, the timing, the phrasing, lined up perfectly with the whispers that had been circling for weeks. Even the formatting matched official DOJ documents used for special inmate classifications. Within hours, people were zooming in on fonts, scrutinizing redacted lines, breaking down every pixel. Threads popped up on Twitter and Reddit. This is a deal. It's real. Then came the second leak. This time, not a photo, but a typed-out memo posted anonymously to a private prison staff forum. It claimed to be an internal communication sent to select Bureau of Prisons personnel, warning of an impending status change for a high-profile inmate. The name was blacked out, but two initials slipped through: SC accident or deliberate breadcrumb. The memo spelled out eligibility criteria: transition to an off-site, pre-sentencing holding unit due to cooperation, non-violent classification, public visibility risk, and program completion. Not confirmation, but more than enough fuel for a fire that was already raging. Suddenly, independent journalists began digging again. Blogs that had been dismissed or censored by mainstream outlets started dropping exposés. One outlet claimed an insider at MDC confirmed that Diddy's inmate profile had a new program adjustment file, normally reserved for former cops, foreign diplomats, or confidential informants. Another alleged that a deputy warden had quietly been reassigned after acknowledging Diddy's attendance in a therapeutic trauma program, something rarely, if ever, offered to an inmate charged under his category. Even legal analysts began weighing in. One high-profile attorney commented, "If this is authentic, it signals coordinated movement. These kinds of releases don't happen by mistake." And yet, through all the online chaos, official channels stayed dead silent. No denials, no confirmation, no investigation into the leaks. Just nothing. And in cases like this, silence speaks volumes. Silence is often the clearest sign that something is in motion, something officials want handled quietly, behind the curtain, with the clock ticking down. Because if those documents are even half legitimate, the countdown isn't October. It's to a door swinging open long before. Most people assume prison is simple. You're arrested, sentenced, locked up, and you serve your time. But that's only the surface. Beneath it lies a maze of hidden statutes, buried loopholes, and obscure clauses even most lawyers skim over. And Sean Combs? He may be stepping directly through one of those loopholes. It's called the First Step Act. Originally designed to reduce overcrowding and reward rehabilitation, it lets certain inmates earn time credits through approved programs, credits that can convert into early transfers to community custody, house arrest, or supervised release. On paper, it was built for low-level, nonviolent offenders. But in practice, it created a legal backdoor. And here's the catch. Despite everything swirling around him publicly, Diddy is technically still pre-sentencing. He hasn't been convicted in open court. He pled down to lesser federal violations as part of a sealed agreement, status that makes him eligible for exceptions most inmates could never dream of. Translation? He's a prime candidate for discretionary release before his sentencing date even arrives, especially if the government sees it as safer, or simply more strategic, to monitor him outside prison walls rather than inside. And there's precedent. In 2021, a pharmaceutical executive drowning in lawsuits and public outrage was quietly released before sentencing under a behavioral agreement linked to cooperation in a separate case. No press coverage, no mugshot, no announcement. Months later, it quietly surfaced that he'd been living under house arrest in a gated mansion while the public thought he was behind bars. So why couldn't that happen here? Diddy has the resources, the lawyers, the connections, and now documented rehabilitation. Stop program? Check. Anger management? Check. Addiction therapy? Check. All lined up perfectly within the First Step Act's eligibility window. But maybe the most valuable asset he has isn't money or compliance, it's his name. Diddy doesn't just generate headlines. He generates heat, pressure, attention. And if there's one thing the federal system despises, it's being under the spotlight while trying to quietly correct a problem. Instead of a courtroom redemption, the plays seem clear. Let the story fade. Slip him out the side door. Vanish him into supervised silence before the cameras returned. At this stage, it wasn't about justice. It was about optics, timing, and the power of a legal backdoor left open just wide enough for one man to walk through. Outside the prison walls, the silence was deafening. A case that once dominated every feed, every talk show, every headline suddenly flatlined. No new op-eds, no primetime debates, no leaked testimony hitting the blogs. It was as if someone had slammed the brakes on the narrative. And that's when the whispers began. Reputation managers, crisis PR firms, former federal advisors, all quietly circling Diddy's camp, not in front of cameras, but behind closed doors, working phones, drafting statements, clearing digital footprints. Old stories began vanishing, articles revised, headlines softened, words like guilty quietly swapped for alleged. Witnesses downgraded from confirmed to unverified. Entire pieces pulled with no explanation. At first, people assumed legal threats were at play. But insiders said this wasn't cleanup, it was strategy. One media consultant admitted anonymously, "It is walking before sentencing. The public can't still be burning hot. You cool the outrage, shift the focus, and fade him out. The system doesn't just free him, it erases him." The timing was too perfect. Just days after the edits began, multiple newsrooms received eerily similar tips, as if scripted, claiming the story was overblown, legally sensitive, or no longer public interest. One outlet even got a cease and desist from a so-called privacy group demanding old videos be taken down. Coincidence? No. Narrative management. While the public was distracted with the next trending scandal, the machine was moving beneath the surface, scrubbing, reframing, dismantling outrage one headline at a time. Inside MDC Brooklyn, Diddy played his part, not with noise, not with defiance, but with silence, compliance, precision. He wasn't fighting anymore. He was fading, smoothing out the sharp edges of his image until the day came when his name would reappear, not bold, not screaming across headlines, but lowercase, buried, forgettable. Because that's how you walk a man out the back door. Not with fanfare, not with cameras, with silence so loud the public forgets what they were ever angry about. But inside MDC, things weren't right. Not for the inmates, not for the staff, not for anyone watching closely. The routine started shifting. Guards reassigned, access logs rewritten, Combs' name suddenly popping up on movement forms that didn't fit his classification, priority walks, limited interaction, restricted contact. In a place built on rigid structure, those deviations were glaring, intentional. One corrections officer leaked to a watchdog blog. His being treated like his not staying long. They've moved him twice in 10 days. High-profile inmates usually get parked and left. This is prep. Another officer echoed it. We were told not to even mention his file internally. That doesn't happen unless something big is in motion. And then the phrase surfaced, the one that cracked everything open. Condition X. It appeared in a directive to senior personnel. Ensure monitoring protocols for SC under Condition X through end of August transition window. Condition X isn't public policy. You won't find it in any manual. But inside federal facilities, it's a whispered designation, used only when an inmate's custody is being shifted for reasons that have nothing to do with punishment. Media pressure, political influence, high-value deals. In short, someone pulled a string. Because the truth was, Combs wasn't just a defendant. He was a liability for the courts, for the prisons, for the system's image itself. Let a man like that sit too long, and the pressure builds, from lawyers, from activists, from a public demanding either total punishment or total disappearance. And Combs? He was nuclear. Every extra day inside was a risk no one wanted to carry. By mid-July, staff weren't asking if he was leaving. They were asking how soon. A cafeteria worker overheard a supervisor mutter, 3 weeks, maximum, just waiting on the paperwork. 3 weeks meant late August. A target date, a quiet deadline, and yet, officially, nothing. No announcements, no press briefings, just sealed files, muffled voices, and silence board at a premium. But secrets don't survive long in places like MDC. God's whisper, schedule shift, and when an entire facility starts treating a man like he's already halfway gone, odds are he is. And then, one Thursday night, without warning, the file dropped. No context, no source, no explanation, just a file. The upload appeared quietly, dropped on a private legal forum known for harboring leaks that never make it to mainstream media. It was a PDF, encrypted with a simple password and named with chilling precision, S conditional transit due 3 pre-sentencing.pdf. Once cracked open, the internet lost its mind. Inside was 6 pages, no DOJ watermark, no official government seal, yet the formatting, the language, the structure all matched. Legal experts said it aligned with what they already suspected, and more. The document laid out a release plan scheduled for August 31st, 33 days before Diddy's official sentencing. It demanded full compliance with psychological evaluations, completion of all assigned programs, a signed agreement for community monitoring, 24/7 private security under federal supervision, and one clause that stunned everyone: 0 direct media engagement until after sentencing. In plain terms, Diddy could walk free before October, but only if he stayed silent. What made the leak explosive was a justification. It cited exceptional compliance, public influence volatility, and most controversially, strategic stabilization needs. That last phrase set off alarms. It wasn't legal. It was political. It sounded less like criminal justice and more like narrative control dressed in bureaucratic ink. If the document was real, it meant Diddy wasn't being released for good behavior. He was being released to protect the system from itself. Within 24 hours, screenshot flooded Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok. Legal analysts dissected it line by line, comparing it with past DOJ leaks. Most agreed it wasn't a clout-chasing fake. Either it was authentic, or it was built using real templates only an insider could access, which meant someone wanted it seen. And while mainstream outlets stayed silent, the people didn't need them. August 31st began trending on X, pre-sentencing deal climbed TikTok feeds. The story had escaped containment. Then, almost too quietly, Diddy's legal team filed a vague motion, sealed clarification of confinement status. Just a single line on the docket, but for those who know how to read between the lines, it was confirmation. The door was opening. Slowly, quietly. Unless another leak or massive pushback emerged, Diddy could leave MDC Brooklyn weeks before anyone expected. Not acquitted, not exonerated, just quietly relocated. Inside the prison, the whispers grew louder. God spoke of movement orders, reassignments, and protocols that didn't match his classification. Staff noted he was being handled like someone preparing for transfer, not long-term confinement. And now, with a leaked file as context, everything fit. Diddy might already be standing at a door the public didn't even know existed. Legally, October 3rd still stood as sentencing day. But if the August 31st plan was real, then when that date came, Diddy wouldn't be walking in as an inmate. He'd arrive in a tailored suit, escorted by private security, under the invisible terms of an agreement the public was never meant to see. Legal experts called it not a loophole, but a tool, a mechanism the system uses when holding someone becomes more dangerous than releasing them. It had happened before, always in secret, never to someone this famous, this fast, this quietly. And the strangest part? It was working. The outrage had cooled. The headlines had dimmed. Celebrities who once condemned him had turned away. The same media that obsessed over every move now acted like the case didn't exist. The silence wasn't accidental. It was purchased, negotiated, enforced. The deal, if real, didn't exonerate him. It didn't erase lawsuits or absolve guilt. But it bought something more valuable: time. Time for the narrative to fade, for memories to blur, for the storm to pass. Time for a rebrand, a second act. So what happens next? Officially, sentencing is on the calendar. But in reality, many believe the decision has already been made. Diddy won't stroll out the front door with cameras flashing. He won't celebrate on courthouse steps. He'll slip through a back channel, folded into a condition, buried in a clause, protected by silence and written in a language only insiders understand. And when the public finally wonders, hey, what happened to that story? The answer will already be too late. Because in a system built to manage chaos, the quietest exits are the most powerful. And if this leak is true, Diddy's exit is already in motion. The world just happens to be watching